This 1500 watt DJ kettle is so fast, the fastest on the market, that by the time you're ready to brew, it's already done boiling. But is it actually any good, or is it all just for show? Let's find out. Imagine this was a little DJ setup. That would be so convenient and portable. I just made myself some tea with the DJ kettle. This is the Lafeeca DJ Kettle. Lafeeca has been around since 2016 making some coffee products, and Lafeeca, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, it's inspired by the Swedish word fika. It's the whole embodiment of taking a break and enjoying a little cup of coffee or tea, and we all know that feeling of just, that sip of coffee and tea. I mean, I just did it earlier. Let's start with design. It's not just a pretty face, it's quite functional and robust and stylish, but we will get into the performance a bit later. It comes in 3 colors. The base is always black, a glossy copper, and a glossy stainless steel silver. This is the matte black version. I think this looks really sleek. I really like it, and it just matches really well. As the name suggests, it is a DJ kettle. When Lafeeca first approached me to see if I wanted to review this, I was honestly a little bit iffy if this was just gimmicky or not, and why they went with this. They had to pare down the product quite a bit so that it could be affordable. It's gonna be like LED lights and everything, none of that, and I don't think it's necessary. But the design of the aesthetic still remains. You got cute toggles, all stainless steel, quality metal. It's very nice and tactile to feel. So if you're somebody that really likes the physicality of a product, there's tons of texture. There's this pleather lining on the side. There's very little branding. There's a Lafeeca really nice metal badge on the back, but you are unlikely to see that because it's kind of where the back is. It's where the plug comes out. There is a Lafeeca engraving on one of the sides. If you orient this towards the side, if you need to have it save space, then you'll see the Lafeeca branding there, but it's so minimal that you wouldn't even see it. It's the logo at the top. There's a nice chunky textured metal dial, very easy to hold. Every time you turn it, it's not a smooth dial, it's like a stepped dial. There's also the tone arm that's fully functional. So the aesthetic is very clear when you look at it. I think if any of my friends came over and they saw this kettle, they would actually go, why does your kettle look like a DJ table? But also that would make sense because I do DJ for fun. This is kind of one of the reasons I got this. It felt very on brand, and I got very curious because I had never heard about Lafeeca prior to getting this. I should mention, no money was exchanged for this review. They have no say in what I will say in this review. I did have some back and forth with them in terms of many questions that I had with them, but they didn't pay me for any of this. You have a nice big clear LCD screen. There's only one little bit that color when the heating element is on. You have an anti-scalding lid. The vent holes are actually not on this top cover. It is on the inside, on the edge. What's interesting with the anti-scalding lid as well is on top of it having this inner rim to promote all the steam from going on the outer circumference and then coming out of these vent holes. This piece here sits in deeper than this part. So just naturally the steam is gonna want to go to the sides, get captured on the sides, and then come out of the vents. Physics and science. I haven't even noticed that much steam coming out even when I'm boiling it. When I run my hand over it, it's warm, but it's not burning my hand. This cover, not hot to the touch. What is hot to the touch, however, is the body. The handle, very comfortable, no issues with it getting hot except for this little bit of exposed metal right here. You have so much room everywhere here to grab. Should not be a problem. They did a lot of research on the handle and they asked a bunch of baristas about it and stuff like that. So I guess it paid off. There's multiple ways of holding it. You can hold it like a standard handle. You could put your finger, your thumb at the top. You can put your thumb at the very top here as well. So you can play around and see what works for you. And if you have this kettle, let me know. Thumb up, thumb down, no thumb. Everything is very well balanced on this. The water flows out very well on this without any issue, without any sputtering. Very easy to slow down or speed up the flow and have more water or less water come out. Very easy to get flow, control, and precision with this if you're using it for pour over. When you look at other kettles, especially if you're looking at the cheap ones, you may not pick it up right at first, but there is a little something on this kettle that makes it just a little bit of a higher quality and craftsmanship, and all of these components add to the price and adds to the quality and adds to that je ne sais quoi. You know when you just look at something and you know it's quality? It is a one-piece casting on the whole outside body. No visible weld marks because it's cast out of one piece. All the way to the bottom, to the very bottom, From any visible side, the kettle, one piece look, which is very sleek. Because it's cast out of one piece, it's more durable. There's no seams, there's no glue, there's no adhesives. From what I can tell, everything that is touching the water is just metal, except for one maybe little piece one at the very bottom where the temperature probe is. But otherwise, everything else looks to be completely metal. And anyways, they do say it's BPA free. At the bottom, you'll notice that there's this whole thing here. This is where the heating element goes. This is hand wash only. Do not put this in your dishwasher because there are electronic heating elements here that would be no bueno. Feet over here. And that will prevent it from getting scratched, from scratching your counter, but also it keeps it a little bit off of the ground. This entire bottom part too, by the way, I didn't feel this hot. The little plastic feet are not rubberized, so it doesn't really prevent the kettle from moving and sliding as I'm doing here. But once again, I don't really think you're gonna do that. And when there's water in here, it's heavier, but I don't know. I will just mention it in case you might accidentally knock it. The base here is silicone, and there is a little bit of branding as well on the silicone base. This little turning knob is a stainless steel black metal with some texture on the side to make it easier to grab, but also just visually looks really great. The pleather, what they call safeguard, the plastic from the base is actually protruding and sticking out from this pleather piece, but they call it a safeguard. The body is made out of 304/18 over 18/8 stainless steel. It's like top quality stainless steel, food grade. The lid, plastic, but the inside, stainless steel. Because it's so robust and super well built, it is a little bit heavy on its own empty. It's 715 grams. When it's full of water with 900 mils of water in here, it's still very comfortable and easy to hold and control. Now, this isn't a tiny kettle. That is one thing that definitely visually makes it stand out from all the other kettles I've seen on the market. It is bigger. You need something that takes no space at all. This is unlikely going to be the winner for you because it does take up space. There is a space-saving compact mode, if you will, where instead of having it on your counter like this, you would have it like this. Now, the only thing is, everything, all the buttons, the screen is all oriented to be viewed in this direction. So if you don't mind, you can use it from this direction. They even mentioned on their website as a perk, but note that the LCD screen does not rotate. That is something they're considering in a future updated version. There is a plus to the bigger size, and that is all of the dedicated buttons. I really like having dedicated buttons. I don't like it when there's one singular button that I have to then memorize a series of button dances to get to where I need to go or to get to a certain menu and then change it. It's super intuitive, very easy to use. You don't even need to use the user manual. I didn't at first, but I would suggest you do give it a glance because there's a lot of information there. Easy read, just do it one time. Speaking of which, just to entice you even more, it did come in this beautiful box. Look at that, super cute, very well designed. All of the features very clean. And in it, there was this. It was so cute. This is not real wax, actually, this is plastic. You know, when they had the ring and the stamp, honestly, I want one of those because I think it's just so cool. But they had this, which just made it feel so special. Like you're cordially, I don't know how you say that, invited to read the manual. Nothing ever made me want to read a manual more. And then there's a 1-year limited warranty. It has everything that you would expect out of a hot water kettle, especially a gooseneck kettle for like coffee, for tea. So we're talking about precision in terms of temperature. Very few 1500 watt kettles out there, especially known brand names. So that is a bonus. More power just means boiling faster. Also, precise temperature control. So one of these dials is a Fahrenheit and Celsius. As a Canadian, we have a very interesting hybrid measuring system for all of our units because we have the British influence and we have the American influence. And we have molded those together to just make a big concoction of confusion when it comes to our units. Our temperature is in Celsius, but now if we're talking about the temperature of the pool, that will be in Fahrenheit. When it comes to coffee, that'll depend on who you speak to, and it depends on what type of content or information that person that's into coffee is perhaps consuming. Maybe roasters in Canada have a preference. I have just defaulted to using Fahrenheit because of all the coffee content that I watch. And then when I watch James Hoffman and he's talking in Celsius, I'm like, oh, I should know this, but I don't. Am I switching between Fahrenheit and Celsius? I actually have switched between the two. I usually tend to just leave it in Fahrenheit because I know that temperature when it comes to teas and when it comes to coffee. But I did have a friend once that came over and told me that they just wanted warm water. They didn't want hot water. And I was like, I don't know what warm water would be in Fahrenheit, but based on ambient temperature in Celsius, I can kind of make a guess of what that would be for warm water. And I think I set it to 50 or 60 degrees Celsius. And I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit off the top of my head. So I did swap it. It made it so easy. Also, has a very satisfying click. I like these toggles too. They're very old school toggles. The other toggle is a stopwatch. It only has an on and off position. When it's on, it starts counting up from 0. You can't pause it. I wish that there was a click in button. The stopwatch has a maximum of 3 digits. The maximum time that it can go until is 9 minutes and 59 seconds. On the LCD screen, temperature that is set to what you want to boil it at, and then you have the current temperature that is in here. When the stopwatch is on, it takes over the current temperature of your water. I don't love that. I don't use it. If you're into coffee, you will very likely have a coffee scale with the stopwatch. Maybe some people love this feature and they're using it all the time. I just personally am not. To use it, it's likely going to be in sleep mode, so you just press down on this button. This dial is a button, nice satisfying click, and it turns on. You adjust with this dial to the temperature that you want, and then you press it again, and it starts boiling. It's really as simple as that. When you're done using it, you can press the button again to stop. So it's the start, it's the stop. Long press it down for 3 seconds, and it will go into sleep mode, but if you forget to do that, no big deal. It'll go into sleep mode in 15 minutes. It does not remember the last setting you had it on, so it will always default to 100 Celsius / 212 Fahrenheit, which is the boiling temperature. Well, it depends where you live, but it will default to that every time you turn it back on. And then you just need to turn the dial and adjust it to the temperature that you want. So you'll likely go down, but it also is very easy to turn and to get your number down. Like I never found myself going like, oh, this is taking me forever to, no, it's taking me forever to get to my desired temperature. The last setting is this tone arm hold and one that says quick. So you would choose one or the other. Quick just means that it'll get to your desired temperature and then it'll hold it for 5 minutes. And then after that, it'll auto shut off. It'll let the water cool back down to room temperature. Did I put on hold? Yes. If you put the tone arm on the hold, it'll heat up to your desired temperature and it will hold it for up to 60 minutes. And then after 60 minutes, it'll stop heating. Because when it holds it, it actually goes through a cycle of heating, cooling, generally within a couple of degrees, something like about 5 Fahrenheit, 3 Celsius, I believe, where it will fluctuate a little bit. Once it reaches something like 5 Fahrenheit under about, I think 3 Celsius or 2.5 Celsius, but there's no decimal point, so I don't know if they round up or down, but it'll then reheat a little bit, reboil, and then generally it will pass the desired temperature unless you're at boiling, and then it'll cool again and it'll continue that cycle. This is your desired temperature, and the heating hold will kind of do a little curve like this from your desired temperature. That's very normal. That's how a lot of these kettles work. But it automates all of that. You don't need to manage it. But that means that if you want to get super, super precise for like the exact temperature, you gotta just watch the screen and make sure that you pull it off at the right temperature because it will show you the current temperature. But you'll never get it that precise because you're likely to lose a little bit of heat by like maybe 1 degree when it's coming out of the spout and then when it hits the air. So, you know, I know we all like to be super precise when it comes to coffee, but there's a limit. There's the reality of physics. I keep saying physics and I don't know if that's the right term. They use a Strix temperature controller, which is one of the leading brands. If you're enjoying this content, please do like, subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm because it keeps changing. And I have a goal to make it to 50K by the end of 2025. So it'd be really great if you help me get there. And I review really cool products like coffee related. I've done bags and cycling, and you may discover some other really cool products in there. And 95% of my audience is not subscribed watching this. So please stick around if you're new here. For good housekeeping, don't leave the water in here after you're done. Like, I mean, you can let it cool. It's fine if you empty out the next day, but just don't leave the water in there. Leave the lid half open so that it could evaporate and keep everything dry. It's stainless steel, but you know, just, you don't want to take those risks with your fancy new toy, especially if you go so long in between using it. If you're an occasional user, just be nice to your things and they'll be nice to you back. I've noticed some dots. It's likely that you have harder water and you'll need to descale it. I'll include some products in the description down below. Citric acid is very excellent. I will link that in the description down below. If not, a baking soda mix that you could use, I will put that in the description. I did test the water with 2 different temperatures to see how long it would take to boil. The test parameters were, it went from ambient room temperature, which was about 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. Where I live, the boiling temperature is something like 99.8 degrees Celsius. So for all intents and purposes, it was 100 degrees Celsius / 212 Fahrenheit. Full water, 900 milliliters. It took 4 minutes and 6 seconds. And it beeped when it reached boiling temperature. Every 1200 watt kettle that I looked at boiled 900 milliliters of water in about 5 minutes. The Lafeeca DJ Kettle boils 900 milliliters of water in 4 minutes and 6 seconds. So that's about 18% faster. Second test I ran was at 195 Fahrenheit, a very popular temperature that you would use to brew for coffee, for pour over. Now that one also started from room temp, about 24, 25 Celsius, and then I brought it up to 195 Fahrenheit, which is about 90.5. I think it rounds up in that case. Like, I'm not sure if their default is Fahrenheit or Celsius, but then basically I think it was 91 Celsius. What was interesting with this one is it beeped it when it reached 190 Fahrenheit and then slowly went up to temp. And by the time it got up to temp, it took, for me to get to 195 Fahrenheit from room temp, it took under 3 minutes and a half. That's 3 minutes and 29 seconds in my case. When you are boiling it, you'll see that there's a little icon that's fire and it tells you, but you also hear it. You will hear the water boiling and it acts quite fast. If you have less water and your desired temperature is less, it will be faster. So for this tea that I totally forgot I had, but this tea, that's now in my belly. I set it to 170 Fahrenheit and it was about a third of the water full in here, I wanna say, or a little bit over a third. That took less than a minute and a half, probably a minute and 20 seconds. Very, very quick if you need just a little bit of water, quick boil. They mentioned to me that having it at about 60% full, something like 500 mils, is good to have in there. There is a boil dry protection, will auto shut off so it won't, you know, burn and scald and create issues. Great. You're like, I love this. How much is this gonna cost? Should I get it? Is this worth it? Worth it will very much depend on everybody. So I can't answer that for you. I really like it. And I have a tendency to spend a little bit on these nice things. And I prefer quality and design and having something nice on my countertop that I will enjoy and like. So it's hard to say. This will set you back 119 USD, about 222 Canadian at the time of this review, and the exchange rate keeps fluctuating. You can use my code JESS15 to save 15%. And using that code specifically instead of, I don't know if they have a welcome code, but that will help give me a little bit of a kickback. It won't cost you anything extra. That's really helpful to support the channel so I can buy equipment. So I can also buy equipment to review as well. So it was more expensive to buy on Amazon, so just buy it directly on their website. If you're in the US, you get free shipping above 50 bucks. If you're elsewhere in the world, there's a small shipping fee. There's also duties and taxes that is going to be factored in. Can you find a cheaper kettle elsewhere? Absolutely. You can find tons of kettles that are half the price. Half of the price at the regular price. When you start putting the 15% discount code, this becomes way better of a deal. With everything I mentioned, the one-piece casting, just the anti-scalding lid. I've seen that feature on a lot of other kettles now. I just don't know how well it's integrated, but I don't know if they have this design consideration to put extra material to create this rim where it will capture the steam. I don't know if they have this extra bulk on the lid so that it really encourages the steam to go on the outer section to really come out of here. I can't say on those other ones, I don't have those. Very comfortable, it's very good quality, all the toggles, the pieces, it looks good. A lot of these other kettles, I don't think they look good. My sister has one of them. I don't love the way it looks and how it feels and how I just the interface in general. And if we are going to compare them with the other big contender, the obvious one on the market, the Fellow Stagg, it is more expensive and you have less watts. It is smaller though. If aesthetic is your thing, that'll be personal preference. If budget is a consideration, this one will be cheaper, especially with the discount code. If you want the dedicated toggles and buttons, then it'll be this one. For the price, for the build, for what you get, for what's available on the market that's both cheaper and more expensive and comparative to this, I find that this is a very good value for what you get. I would say that this is really great for somebody that is into pour over in coffee and tea regularly. They want to change their temperatures all the time and have precision on that, have precision on the pour. But I would also say it's good for people that are occasional users. I have a Zoshi hot water boiler and warmer water dispenser, and they come in different sizes, and it boils your water and then sets it to a temperature that you want, and then it holds that temperature. And then you just have hot water and an instant button. And I love this product so much, and I'm not sure if I want to sell it because I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to it. When I got this product, I put that away, and I haven't felt the need to pop it out again, especially now that the weather's warming up. This kettle just is perfect for my current needs. But you let me know in the comments down below. Do you think it's worth it or not? Do you use this? Do you have something else you really like? I would love to hear from you. If you want to see that hot water boiler I was talking about that can dispense hot water instantly, especially useful if you have a family, you have a lot of people over, you're just dispensing tea, or you're at a conference or at school or the office, you can check out my review right here. That's really great. I love that thing. I've used it for a long time. Pretty much every Asian household I feel has one. At least every Chinese, Japanese household I feel, or Korean. And if not, this video right here may interest you, and I'll see you in the next video.